It's taking now to Orlando, Florida, where Governor Ron DeSantis is announcing his pick to fill Marco Rubio's Senate seat as the current senator moves closer to confirmation for Secretary of State. Watch.
Particularly Supreme Court justices play in enforcing the Constitution, and particularly the constitutional limits on federal power. We need a senator that understands the important role that Senate plays in confirming Supreme Court appointments as well as lower courts, and the model for justices need to be justices like Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Finally, Republicans must fight the woke agenda, and they must defeat the radical left. Florida has fought and won against the woke agenda. We have won time and time again against the political left. And right now, the Democratic Party in this state lies in ruins, and we are a solid Republican state, which people didn't think was possible even 5 years ago. At the national level, we need to rid our institutions, federal agencies, universities, corporations of the pernicious woke ideology and woke agenda. We need to restore common sense, and we need to restore basic American principles throughout our society once again. Amen. Now, in appointing a U.S. Senator, I initially put out several different criteria. One, I want somebody that's going to work with President Trump to deliver on the mandate he earned from the American people. I want a senator that's going to be willing to lean in against the excessive spending and cut spending and stop the inflation. I want somebody that understands that the federal bureaucracy is run amok and it must be held to account, and we need 3 branches of government, not 4 branches of government. And we need somebody that understands the fight against illegal immigration, is willing to shut the border, and importantly, make sure any legal immigration to this country is putting Americans first. Can't be bringing foreigners in to displace our own people in key positions. So this is something that I thought about long and hard. We did a lot of research. We got a number of great candidates throughout the state of Florida, and many of them, I think, could have done a good job. But the final criteria I used was, because you can say all those things and say you stand for it, I wanted somebody with a demonstrated record of delivering results on those important issues. Talk is cheap. We need people that have demonstrated fidelity to these principles with their actions. So that is why today I'm proud to announce that I am selecting our Attorney General, Ashley Moody, to serve as our next U.S. Senator. So many of you know her. She's obviously been on the ballot twice statewide and won big victories. She's honorably served our people as her time as Attorney General over these last 6 years. She's a 5th-generation native of Plant City, Florida, in the Tampa Bay area, and even what was named queen of the famous Strawberry Festival back in her youth. She's a triple Gator graduate of the University of Florida. And she's built an impressive resume as a commercial litigator and as a federal prosecutor. When she was an assistant U.S. attorney here in the Middle District of Florida, she handled gun and fraud cases. Later, when she was in the Tampa Narcotics Division, she was recognized for her prosecutorial excellence by federal agencies. In 2007, she became Florida's youngest circuit court judge at the tender age of 31, where she championed initiatives for at-risk children and expanded access to legal representation for vulnerable Floridians. And that's all great.
All right. You are watching Florida Governor Ron DeSantis delivering remarks to the press, where he has just announced that he is selecting Florida's current Attorney General, Ashley Moody, to fill the Senate seat that has been left vacant, that will be left vacant, should Senator Marco Rubio be confirmed as our next Secretary of State. CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes is joining me now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Nancy, first let's talk about it seems almost, I think we talked about this yesterday, if there's anybody who's going to sail through and may even pick up some Democrats when he gets confirmed, it's probably Senator Marco Rubio of Florida.
Right. I mean, he is a longtime senator. He knows the senators who will be voting on him very well. He is the one nominee who, from the very beginning, when you talk to Republican aides, they said he is almost certainly going to be one of the very first cabinet picks to be confirmed, probably on the same day that Trump is sworn in. This announcement by DeSantis is particularly interesting because you'll remember that Donald Trump's own daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, was floated as a possible replacement for Marco Rubio if DeSantis was willing to appoint her. Trump and DeSantis, who haven't always seen eye to eye, have spent more time together lately, most notably on the golf course this week. But DeSantis signposted a while back that Lara Trump was probably not going to be the pick. And you heard why in that announcement just now. It is because Ashley Moody, who is the state's attorney general, who has already been elected twice in the state of Florida, who is a longtime DeSantis ally, has always been at the top of the list. Not only is she close to DeSantis, but this also potentially clears the way for DeSantis to name his own chief of staff and longtime aide to her position if he is so inclined. So a lot of upsides for DeSantis here in naming Ashley Moody to this very coveted spot, appointing her to take Marco Rubio's seat if he is indeed confirmed next week.
Yeah, and Nancy, was there anything controversial for our viewers who may not have watched CBS News 24/7 during the confirmation hearing of Marco Rubio? Was there anything that struck those senators asking questions as unusual or controversial?
Nothing that would impede his nomination and his confirmation. He spoke relatively bluntly about the path forward in Ukraine. He said that Russia is obviously the instigator and that it is not going to win. It is not going to achieve its original goals of taking over Ukraine. But he also said Ukraine is not going to look like it did before either. That essentially the borders of Ukraine after a negotiation are not going to be what they were before. He said that's just a geopolitical reality, that Russia is going to gain some Ukrainian territory. That's something that you don't typically hear from Democratic leaders or the White House in those kinds of very blunt terms, because they don't want to go into a negotiation already conceding that Russia's tactics would have been successful. But Rubio was pretty blunt yesterday.
Yeah, indeed. All right, Nancy Cordes for us. Thank you very much, Nancy. Appreciate it as always.